Welcome to Great American Ballpark, where the Cincinnati Reds go for the series sweep as they play the finale of their set of 3 with the Pittsburgh Pirates. It has been an exciting weekend. Kind of have to get composed even after watching that Pete Rose piece. But the Reds will try and finish off Pittsburgh this afternoon and continue to expand on their lead in the National League Central. Thanks for joining us here at Great American. Paul Keels and Chris Welsh. And certainly there's been some late-inning drama for this baseball team lately,
well,
Chris.
Especially the last 3 games, Paul. I mean, you're biting your nails right down to the very last batter. You know, you go back to the last game in Colorado where the Reds lost that game on a stolen base at home. Then Friday night they had a lead. They ended up losing the lead. They went 12 innings, ended up winning that ball game on an error by the catcher of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they won the game 4-3. And last night, well, they had a 3-0 lead. It seemed like Edinson Volquez was just dominating. They ended up losing that lead, and Joey Votto comes through with what? A walk-off home run. How exciting it was last night. 36,000 in the house. First pitch he saw from the left-hander, and bang, it was over just like that.
And the latest in a chapter of what's been an outstanding season for Joey Votto.
Well, you know, every good team, every team that is on its way to its championship has a player on that ball club that can carry you. And in this year, it's Joey Votto. He's the guy that is most likely to be an MVP candidate year after year, and he's establishing himself now among all the elite players in the league. Batting average, home runs, runs batted in, game-winning runs batted in. We don't talk about those very much, but he's got 18 of those. He plays great defense, and he's a silent leader on this team.
Certainly is. The Reds will try and expand on their lead and finish off the Pirates on a Sunday afternoon here at Great American. And today's Reds broadcast on Fox Sports Ohio is presented in beautiful high definition, courtesy of H.H. Gregg. The final 3 with the Reds and the Pirates here at Great American Park. Time to check out the weather for today. Here's Jeff Creighton.
The magic number is 15. The Reds are on a streak. Let's keep that streak alive. The weather's going to be cooperative as well. 76 by that first pitch, 78 by the seventh inning, 79. Fantastic weather for another win for the Reds.
And what's been a fantastic season for Johnny Cueto continues today.
Well, especially when it comes to facing the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's a guy that has dominated this Pirates team throughout his entire career. But lately, over the last 8 starts, he is 7-0 against them. Overall, Johnny Cueto, 27 starts, 12 wins on the year. He's got an outside chance of being a 15-game winner. That'd be a huge, emotional level to get to if you're Johnny Cueto, but he's throwing the ball real well. Even though he got the losses last start against the Colorado Rockies, he's still throwing the ball very well. I expect him today to do what the previous 2 right-handers that Dusty Baker's run out there against the Pirates do, and that is dominate this Pirates team and send them home with a broom under their arms, because it'll be a clean sweep here in Cincinnati.
Yes, the Reds will try and finish off the Pirates this afternoon. Here's Great American. First pitch coming up next. Brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. By Ford F-Series trucks, the best-selling trucks 33 straight years. By Just for Men, for mustache and beard, keep your edge. And by Skyline Chili, whenever you're feeling good and hungry, it's Skyline time. The wrap-up of the series today, the Reds and the Pirates here at Great American Ballpark. Beautiful day for baseball. Nice crowd getting settled in. Time to take a peek at John Russell's Pittsburgh Pirates batting order that will face Johnny Cueto today as they try and snap their losing streak, and the lineup provided courtesy of Cincinnati Bell.
John Russell, the manager of the Pirates, has changed it up a little bit. This regular guy, Andrew McCutcheon's at the top of the lineup. Then Alex Presley came into the ballgame as a replacement. Neil Walker, Pedro Alvarez, a couple of very good young players there. John Bowker, they got him over from the Giants, and he's a pretty good left-handed hitter. Ryan Doumit behind the plate, lasting Millage back in the ball game finally after the first time this series. Ronnie Cedeno and Brian Burris, and that's the way the Pirates will line them up here this afternoon. Well, Johnny Cueto, well, he's had a 12-game win season already against only 5 losses, and he does it with a fastball that has lots of life. When he gets that ball at the letters and above, it really tends to take off. But this year, he's really concentrating more on throwing that two-seam fastball down. He likes his cut fastball. So the way you tell the difference if you're at home is to say if his fastball's at 94 miles an hour, his cutter will be around 90 or 91 miles an hour. And over the last 8 games, he has simply owned the Pirates. He had a complete game shutout against this Pirate team earlier in the year. He is 7-0 in his last 8 starts against the Pirates, and he's trying to stretch that to 9-0 today.
So take a look at the Ford defensive alignment for Dusty Baker's Cincinnati Reds. A little more than what we've been accustomed to in the last few weeks. If you look at the outfield, Chris Heisey is back in after not starting the game in right last night. Cairo, who was in right, is at third base. Kind of a somewhat normal off day for Scott Rowland. Day game after a night game. Cueto and Hernandez the battery. There's Chris Heisey. Came in later in the game last night, but Chris, how about the finish of that game last night? Didn't get a chance to see it because of football, but amazing.
Well, the guy had the big hit. Went down the third baseline to tie the score up and set up, of course, the opportunity for Joey Votto to win it in the extra innings. But, you know, it seems like every time Chris Heisey is in the ballgame, something happens. I mean, he's just around a play that happens, whether it's defense, offense, laying a bun down, the guy comes to play.
And Andrew McCutchen starts off the game at the plate for the Pirates, looking at Johnny Cueto. McCutchen last night scored a run on a walk, also was a strikeout victim. And Johnny Cueto, you mentioned that shutout he had in Pittsburgh earlier in the season in a cold night at PNC Park, a one-hitter and a 9-inning 2-1 victory. 9 innings of work for Cueto, 2-1 win for the Reds. He only allowed 2 base runners in that game. One of whom was Cedeno, who got hit and then got thrown out stealing. 1-2 the count to McCutchen, who will be followed by Alex Presley and then Neil Walker. Johnny Cueto on the season. He's had a pretty good run against the Pirates. 3-0, an ERA of 1.38. In 26 innings pitched, he scattered 12 hits over those 3 outings. McCutchen gone.
Well, before the game on Sundays, the kids come out there, and it's walk-on Sundays. You meet your favorite player. And the young man that was out there with Joey Votto was out to get his autograph at first base. Says, "Okay, young man, now time to go on." And he said, "No. The dugout's over this way."
Oh, no.
But his kid wants to round the bases. Hey, Joey, you get to round the bases. Why can't I round the bases?
Oh, my goodness. That's after the game.
With a little extra instruction from Brandon Phillips. We finally got him going the right direction. That's great.
Oh, that's very good. Well, Alex Presley, the one-out batter. There's one Phillips.
Be a good dad someday.
That's right.
Both of them.
Both of them doing a little extra duty out there before the start of the game. Presley, who's in right field today for the Pirates, looks at a strike. Ryan Doman, who has been out in right field during the series, behind the plate tonight. Presley entered the game on Friday as a pinch runner for Ryan Doman. So now the count is 1-2. And we were talking Reds live piece on the appearance of Pete Rose last night here at the ballpark. I almost got a little choked up watching that, Chris, with especially with Perez and Geronimo.
You know, in the ballpark last night, you could really feel that kind of emotion, Paul, where people were almost, split between being happy, elated, and in awe of finally Pete Rose being honored on the field. Didn't maybe go quite as far as some people wanted, but Major League Baseball would not allow him to address the folks in the stadium via PA announcement. So they did the interview. They showed it on the big board. It came across very strong, and his message, I think, came across very strong as well.
2-2 to Presley with 1 out. Of course, Tommy Helms was out there as well. Longtime teammate of Pete's, and it was Tommy who followed Pete as interim manager of the Reds after his suspension was put in place. Eric Davis and Tom Browning. Johnny Cueto 2-2 to Alex Presley. Brandon Phillips fields a slow roller. 2 are gone. Neil Walker will come up next for the Pirates. A 17-game hitting streak in the works for the young second baseman of the Pirates. Had 1 base hit last night, drove in a couple of runs. Pittsburgh made some things happen that caused for a lot of drama last night with that 4-run late inning rally. Cueto trying to put the Pirates down in order. His last outing was Tuesday in Colorado.
Now, he went 6 innings in that ball game, gave up 4 runs overall. Only 3 of them were earned. ended up getting the loss in that ball game. The Reds did not have a good stay at the Mile High City,
to say the least. But what's been a good weekend so far with what the Reds have done and what the Cardinals have not done, giving Cincinnati a 7-game lead now in the National League Central.
Well, they've been really good at home lately, the Reds have. In fact, they're on a 6-game winning streak at home. They've won the last 10 of 11 ball games they've played at Great American Ballpark. And if you combine that with the fact that the Pirates have been so bad on the road, they have lost 17 of their last 18 road games, the Pirates have. So Dusty Baker has to feel pretty good where his team is right now in the standings and is picking up a little bit of momentum.
1-2, Cueto against Walker, now even up. And, one of the real differences between the Reds and the Cardinals is how Cincinnati has done well with the teams below 500, and the Cardinals have had trouble in those areas.
It's the big area right there. I mean, the one area of concern, obviously, for Dusty Baker is his team's record against teams that are above 500, but they've taken care of business in the division and against teams that they match up well against. Better hurry on this one.
Cueto will try. Not in enough time. So Walker extends his hitting streak to 18 games in a row.
Well, this is about a perfect swinging bunt right here. He goes reaching for a pitch on the outer part of the plate. Cueto, with quick feet, gets off the pitcher's mound very quickly. But still, when you field that ball, your momentum's going towards third base, and you really don't have much on the throw. And it was still a bang-bang play at first, and Johnny will pitch out of this stretch position here.
And do so with Pedro Alvarez at the plate. Pirate third baseman with an 0 for last night. Twice was a strikeout victim. See the numbers on Alvarez here in the season with what he has done. There's 11 home runs for Pedro Alvarez. 10 of them have come to the Pirates' home field at PNC Park. Cueto brings him an inside pitch. Brian Burris will be the starting pitcher for the Pirates. We've yet to talk much about him. We will wax on about what he's done during 2010 when the Reds get their first at-bats in the bottom of the first inning. No score here in the top of the first. Walker on at first with a 2-out infield single. If I remember right too, Chris, that series in which Johnny Cueto got that one-hit shutout against the Pirates, that was followed up by that stellar Homer Bailey performance on getaway day in that series, which he threw up a complete game.
Yeah, that was a strange couple of series the Reds had there in Pittsburgh. They went out and they lost the first one in 3 games in a row, and everybody was stunned that they'd lose 3 to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Then they came right back and shut them down. The Pirates were lucky to score right in that series. Johnny doesn't look quite the same after that throw to first base.
Sure doesn't.
He's taken a lot of time between pitches right after that swinging bunt by Neil Walker. He kind of threw the ball off balance. I'm not suggesting anything's wrong with him, just observing that his 3 or 4 pitches since that time, really his body language isn't quite there.
3-1 the count. Cueto to Alvarez with Walker on at first base. And that one right at Brandon Phillips. Timed it perfectly. Side retired, runner left, no scores. We go to the bottom of the first. Cincinnati Bell, Cincinnati Reds batting order for Dusty Baker today.
Hello, Brandon Phillips is at the top. Orlando Cabrera, back-to-back ball games for him. Joey Votto, the hero last night with that first ever walk-off home run for him. Johnny Gomes, Ramon Hernandez will catch Johnny Cueto. Miguel Cairo, last night the right fielder. Today he is the third baseman. Drew Stubbs in center, Chris Heisey in right field. And Johnny Cueto on the mound. That's the way Dusty Baker has written him up. And they will face Brian the Blade Burris. Young man has been around a few different organizations already, originally drafted by the Giants. He's got the stuff that you would say is a long reliever. Not overpowering by any means, but he's not afraid to pitch inside. He changes speeds. He's got a big sweeping breaking ball, and a guy that when he's on his ball game, he can pitch pretty well. But he has to locate his stuff. That's the biggest thing. The Reds have had some problems with left-handers. They will find out today whether they can solve this left-hander from Mount Hood, Oregon.
Said the Blade, and also now that Tom Hall had made an appearance back here.
You know what? I was trying to think which Reds player had that nickname, and you got it for me.
Tom Hall.
I remember him.
Back in the early 70s. Came, if not mistaken, from the Minnesota Twins in a deal for Leo Cardenas. Inside pitch to Brandon Phillips. Because Tom Hall mostly worked out of the bullpen, and then Sparky ended up getting him into the starting rotation for a while. Brandon Phillips last night 0 for 4 with a walk. And he committed too much on that baby. So the Reds wearing their home Sunday red jersey tops today. Brandon Phillips has now hit safely in 6 of his last 9 starts since coming back into the starting lineup, beginning with the series last weekend in St. Louis. And now with that hand injury. Now even for Burris at 2-2. Burris 0-1 against the Reds with an ERA of well over 7.5. And it's his combined career numbers. Phillips comes up empty on that. And
Brandon thinks he said, hey, I tapped that ball. I foul tipped it.
And he's not going to win that argument with Bob Davidson.
Not when Bob Davidson makes up his mind, you can forget about arguing with him.
Let's see.
Hard to tell right there. I think maybe Davidson got that one right.
Was it Friday night? He was having a rough time with a couple of calls out there at second base in the game out there. Orlando Cabrera, the one-out batter. Been a lot of concern about that oblique muscle that Orlando injured in Pittsburgh in the last series back there, and he's trying to beat Dusty Baker and everyone else very careful about how much and how quickly they run him back out there. So 1 out and no score here in the bottom of the first inning. Burris gets a strike. And Jim Davis relaying from Dusty Baker's little media gathering before the game that apparently Jay Bruce would possibly be available to pinch run or maybe play defense today, but not to hit. And the thought would be it might be Tuesday or Wednesday before, and that's just a guess right now, when Jay Bruce might be ready to do more. Of course, Heisey's arm problem yesterday prompted Miguel Cairo to start in right field last night. Cabrera. But there's Cedeno quickly in position and throwing at him for the second out. For defense, the way the Pittsburgh Pirates of John Russell are lined up defensively. Some new folks in right and in center field with McCutcheon and Presley out there. John Bowker, the one change from what's been most of Pittsburgh's infield around the diamond, and Ryan Doman back behind the plate. You look at Millich, Lasting's Millich, but at the plate, and you mentioned it, the hero from last night, Joey Votto. Sent everybody home happy in the 10th inning. And that homer, his one base hit in the series for Joey Votto. The 4th game ending, or the term that gets used most often, walk-off home runs, that the Reds have had this year. Cabrera, Lance Nixon, Johnny Gomes performing the task prior to Joey Votto's heroics last night. Foul ball, says Bob Davidson. And watching the replay of that, when he hit that ball and the way he just stood straight up right away and dropped the bat, it had to have felt good from how it left his lumbar. And continues to show his strength at hitting the ball the opposite way, sending it over the wall in left field. 2-2. Side retired. No score. Reds and Pirates after 1 full. Elko, Iowa. Certainly the Reds have made a habit out of staging come-from-behind victories right behind the Atlanta Braves for the most in the National League, and last night's was the latest installment.
Well, you know what? That was an exciting one last night. Joey's a little bit struggling a little bit, but boy, oh boy, he walloped that ball. And if you look at that pitch and where he hit it, there aren't all that many players that are so willing to hit the ball the other field that committed enough that they'd be able to hit it that hard the other way. He almost reached the second deck going oppage. That is some kind of strong.
He's been able to do it hitting balls like that. We've seen him to where he's punched singles through the holes on the left side. So it's not just that it's been big flies, it's been placement and going with a pitch.
Yeah, you know what, though? When he stepped to the plate last night, you could see that look of determination in his eye. George Grant called him. He looked over at Danny Steele, who was sitting helping him with the stats last night, and said, you know what? I don't need to know that this is his first ever walk-off. He's going to hit one right here. And he looks at the ball, then he looked at the pitcher, and then looked at the celebration waiting for him at home. What a night.
Incredible. Joey Votto. John Bowker to lead off the top of the second for the Pirates. Playing first base, snapped an 0 for 11 streak at the plate with a pinch hit and an RBI double last night. And he fouls the 3-2 pitch from Johnny Cueto.
Guy's got a pretty good bat. I mean, as far as bat speed, Bowker does. We've talked about him as having being a big, strong guy, but rather short arms, and he's very quick on the inside pitch. He's really limited, though, to only a couple of different positions, right field or first base.
And another 3-2 pitch that he smacks foul.
He came over to the Pirates, Bowker did, in a trade that they made with the San Francisco Giants. The Giants folks, when they had Bowker over there in San Francisco, really liked him a lot. Thought he has some promise.
He was their opening day right fielder. Appeared Friday night as a pinch hitter and flat out to center field. Once again, it's a payoff pitch from Cueto. Bowker pops this. Phillips. One gone. The Reds have the best fans in baseball, and they'd like to show their thanks during Fan Appreciation Day on Sunday, October 3rd at the ballpark. There'll be drawings for fan prizes throughout the game. Win prizes, gift cards, and coupons from great Reds partners like UDF, Montgomery Inn, Carpetland, Best Buy, Frisch's, John Morrell, and many more. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or go to reds.com. That will be the Milwaukee Brewers who will be here that weekend.
A big shift on now for Ryan Doman. Switch hitter, but when he bats left-handed, he really pulls the ball. You've got 1, 2, 3 infielders over here, and the third baseman way over in the hole right there.
Johnny Cueto working on the Pirate catcher, Ryan Doman. 1-1 the count at the moment. Doman last night, 0 for 4. And a big rip that he comes up empty. Both behind the plate and in right field last night. Played in right field Friday night. There's a look at that shift. Cairo, the only infielder that is on the left side of the infield between second and third. Doman fighting to stay alive. He'll be followed by Lasting's Milledge. Pittsburgh has one base hit that they've come up with today. That was a 2-out infield single by Neil Walker. Cueto's 2-2 pitch. Ryan Doman's coming.
Boy, nice changeup right there for Johnny Cueto. You know, you get that guy looking for that fastball in the mid-90s, and then you subtract about 10 miles an hour over him, and that's exactly what you get right there. A ball that appears like it's a strike coming out of his hand because it has the strike zone this way. And when you do that, you show the hitter that it's got a chance to be on the plate, even though it was down out of the zone. He can't wait back on it, and Cueto picks up strikeout number 2.
And he looks like he's back in that rhythm, that same pace that he was in prior to fielding that infield base hit by Walker, where he seemed a little off kilter. Lasting's Milledge, who's in left field this afternoon, will be the 2-out batter for the Pirates. Jose Tabata has been manning left field the last couple of nights. Milledge 4 hits in his last 4 official at-bats. No score here in the top of the second inning. Cueto gets the strike on the outside corner.
Well, Johnny Cueto, just like his predecessors, Homer Bailey and Edinson Volquez last night, each of those guys seemed they had really good stuff coming right out of the gate. It looks like the same way for Johnny Cueto today. He's got his breaking ball working. He's locating his fastball. His changeups has been good. Well, those are the kind of days as a pitcher you just dream about, because it doesn't always happen. You know, you really take your good stuff with you, or your great stuff with you, to the mound maybe once every 5 starts. And then you have decent stuff, maybe 2 starts out of 5. And then those other 2, though, you really got to work hard to get it done. But he looks like he's right on it today.
Votto. And that takes care of the Pirates again. No score after an inning and a half.
Ball, pretty good pitch to hit, and I put a good swing on it. I've been missing lately, and I ended up catching that one. I'm just glad I put a good swing on pitch and drove it well. You know, I ended up going out of the ballpark, and that's a great thing. But you know, I'm glad it ended up resulting in a win.
Yes, it did. A 10-inning Reds victory last night over the Pirates. No score in this game right here. Bottom of the second inning. Johnny Gomes to lead it off for Cincinnati against Pittsburgh left-hander Brian Burris. Couple of base hits last night for the Reds left fielder. The Reds are still searching for their first base hit of this game. Burris to Gomes. Hold. That one got spanked pretty good. But it won't count for anything except for a strike. First Friday night, it was Johnny Gomes with a broken back, fluttering ball up the left side of the diamond that Cedeno fielded through home. Error on Chris Snyder. Reds win. I'll bet that for extremes. A broken bat infield hit, or not a hit, but a ball hit in the infield to a home run to end it last night.
Yeah, the Reds have been over the last week or so in some very interesting endings of ball games. I mean, I guess the most conventional, if you want to call it that, was that home run by Votto last night. But to lose a game on a stolen base at home plate, which is hardly ever see, and then Johnny Gomes on a splattered bat that ends up getting an error, that was an odd way to win a ball game.
Gomes down on strikes for the first out of the inning. Our Honda standings, and today we take a look at the Triple Crown categories for the three guys that are really pushing for it. You see where Joey Votto ranks behind Carlos Gonzalez and Albert Pujols today.
You know, it doesn't look like Votto's going to catch him with home runs unless he really goes on a tear, but he's capable of doing that. Meanwhile, though, Albert Pujols continues to batter. There's 37 of them that can. Gonzalez has got 335 batting average, and that looks like that's going to be awfully tough to catch as well. So will we have a Triple Crown winner? You have to think that Carlos Gonzalez has got the best shot because of the batting average being so high. Awfully tough at this stage in the season to raise your batting average by 30 points, and that's what both Joey Votto and Pujols would have to do.
And Troy Tulowitzki certainly has thrown himself back up there as regard to the batting race. And a lot of that coming at the expense of the Reds over the past week. 2-0 to Ramon Hernandez, the Reds catcher. Scoreless game here in the bottom of the second inning. Hernandez a base hit and a run driven in last night. And it's certainly, you know, we've gone on countless times, Chris, about the contributions of the Reds catchers, but it certainly was nice to see Hernandez, when he did have his stint on the DL, that it was not a prolonged one. Because last year was a living example of how deadly that was to the team.
Yeah, it really was, and it didn't have much in the way of backup last year to help him, and it seemed like Ryan Hannigan got tired after a while. It's been perfect this year. When they needed Corky Miller, he was right there. But for the most part, the two-headed catching version the Reds have put out there, Hannigan and Hernandez, have both been outstanding.
Offensively and defensively.
Of course, Hernandez, I think in the last year of his deal, he's wondering where he may be next year. I think he'd like to stay right here. Pitchers hang out together.
They do, don't they? They sure do. And Hernandez will trot on down the first after the walk. There's Ryan Hannigan and Corky Miller. Reds get their first base runner of the afternoon. Miguel Cairo played next, started in right field last night. Officially 0 for 2, but got credit for a run batted in. It was the first time during the year Miguel has played in the outfield for the Reds. It certainly is not the first time he's been there in his career. His first appearance since 2008 in right field in September that season for Seattle. And his first start there since 2005. Well, with the New York Mets. And as of recently, Miguel was a little iffy as far as maybe being able to be thrown out there. He had a hamstring that they were saying.
Yeah, they've been working on his leg. You know, this time of year, I don't think you'll find anybody on that roster that feels 100%. But you just have to go out there and gut it out. And that's the biggest adjustment, I think, the young players. Nice play.
Nice. Bowker with a very nice play to track that foul down.
He got a good jump on that ball. It looked like Cairo gets jammed and the ball just kind of squirts away from him right there. But Bowker on a dead run, Bowker is able to snag that ball. He plays some outfield. He also plays some first base today. But the point I was making about young players is that most of the young players that come up out of the minor leagues don't know what it's like to play in a 162-game season, because their season in the minor leagues usually ends on September 1st, where you play one more full month in the major leagues, and those are the real dog days.
Drew Stubbs, the 2-out batter for the Reds. It's the Reds Louisville team in postseason playing Durham. Manages to win that series, will move on to meet Columbus. The Clippers clinched their series last night in the International League. Stubbs a couple of base hits and a run driven in and a run scored last night. And Burris misses outside. Hernandez on at first after a 1-out walk. Combs led off the inning with a strikeout. Cairo a foul fly to the first baseman Bowker. Ramon Hernandez and now Drew Stubbs, who faces a 1-1 count from Brian Burris. Chris Heisey, the on-deck batter for the Reds. Alvarez, and that'll take care of the Reds here in the bottom of the second. Game still scoreless. Complete recap of the Bengals-Patriots game on FoxSportsOhio.com, presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO and SafeAuto.com. There's Hal, diligent at work, as he always is. No score, top of the third, Reds and Pirates. And as you can hear, there's a big round of applause being sounded because on the scoreboard they showed the hit king, Pete Rose, in the stands.
But he was here last night officially, of course. Went over to first base, was greeted by some of his former teammates, was awarded a nice trophy and crystal plaque by the president and CEO of the Reds, Bob Castellini. But he's here in one of the boxes today, brought his kids to the ball game. And anytime you put the hit king on the big scoreboard, you're going to get a round of applause.
It will be a big hit. Ronnie Cedeno to lead off the top of the third for the Pirates in the scoreless game against Johnny Cueto. And all the attention was on Pete being shown up on the scoreboard. And Ronnie Cedeno, as he came to the plate, and we've talked about how Brandon Phillips, with everybody except Yadier Molina anymore, he comes up and taps the catcher in the shin guards with a bat. Well, Ronnie Cedeno came up there with a bat playfully trying to tap Bob Davidson, the home plate up on the shins, and Davidson was backing away from him. I guess the two of them have a pretty good rapport.
He might be one of the only guys who's never had a balk called on him.
Cueto's 1-2.
I mean that in jest, because, of course, if you don't know, Bob Davidson has a nickname around baseball called Balking Bob Davidson, because from time to time he'll get into a mode where he'll call some balks on pitchers, at least more in the past than recently.
Cabrera fields a grounder, and he throws out Ronnie Cedeno and sliding at first. And when the Reds get it done with an RBI this season, that means another $25 from Shakely for the Reds Community Fund. Shakely, it's done. Well, what was it this week? Mark Burley and the White Sox continuing to have issues with Angel Hernandez. Called Burley for a couple of balks this week in a game. Ozzie Guillen got ejected, and it was earlier in the year where there was a big issue with Mark Burley and Ozzie Guillen with a couple of balks called in a game that got both, if I believe right, Ozzie and Burley both got tossed out, and it was Angel Hernandez calling the balks in that game also.
Well, that's one of those rules, the balk rule, especially with a left-hander, that is got a lot of gray area in it. And I'm not sure if it's interpreted differently by different umpires, but certainly some umpires see it as a balk, certain moves, and others see it as a non-balk. But they seem to come in bunches, and I'm not really sure why, except that you forget about them, and then all of a sudden you see 2 or 3 in a series.
Brian Burris, the pitcher, is gone. 2 outs. That's 3 Pirate batters. Johnny Cueto's fan.
Yeah, punch out in every inning for Johnny.
So right back to the top of the order, Andrew McCutcheon. When you're on the mound, what's the hardest thing to keep focused on to avoid from a balk? Is it when you're coming set, or is it the move to the bases?
I think for a right-hander, it would be making sure that you don't make any special movements. Most balks are called, it seems like, against right-handers at the very beginning of the windup, when they start and then they stop. And sometimes that happens when you think you see a sign from a catcher. So you start your stretch position, and then he flashes another sign to you, and you're not sure whether to step off, stop, start, keep going, and you get confused, and that's where the balk is. For left-handers, it's when you're trying to be too deceptive and you don't step directly to the bag when you throw to first base. And then you have the kind when you just simply drop the ball out of your hand. I think if you pitch long enough, that's happened to everybody, including me.
I was going to say, that sounds like personal experience.
Well, you have to grip the dry spot on the ball first and then move it to the wet spot, you see.
All right, Gaylord. All right, Gaylord. Well, if you use the fingernail file, you don't have to worry about the wet spot.
Pine tar helps there, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Who was it that had the fingernail file? Was that Joe Niekro?
Joe Niekro in Minnesota. He wasn't the only one now.
No.
He just was one that got caught on TV.
Yeah, he came out to check his jersey, and it fell out, and he jumped back and had his arms spread and had that, who me look? McCutcheon with a fly to Heisey. Pirates are retired. Game scoreless, middle of the third. On display, Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by seeing one of your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Nice looking ride. Reds and the Pirates are scoreless. Bottom of the third, Chris Heisey to lead it off for Cincinnati. A base hit and an RBI in one at bat last night for Heisey. You see at the bottom there in the red what he's done in the series. Well, that had to be a small amount of panic when Dusty Baker and the staff realized that Heisey wasn't going to be able to start the game next night. But Miguel Cairo gave him what they needed out in right field. Heisey came back into the game a little later. 1-1. Brian Burris fields the ground ball off the bat of Heisey, who is retired. 1 out. And visit the Reds Hall of Fame during weekends in September to pick up a free collectible gift. The first 5,000 full-paying weekend guests this month will receive a Pete Rose 4192 commemorative print. And 1 out of every 10 of these prints has been signed by the Hit King himself. To learn more, call 513-765-7923 or visit redsmuseum.org. Johnny Cueto, 6 for 47, will step in with 1 out. It's pitcher against pitcher. Burris starts him with a strike. I mentioned, Chris, that Brian Burris has been around Baltimore parts of 06 and 07 and 08, and then with Toronto last year. I guess when you're a team like Pittsburgh that's holding up the rest of the division, that's where you see that revolving door.
Well, you know, when you're a pitcher like Brian Burris, and he's never really been overpowering. He's not a guy that you can expect to fill out and all of a sudden throw 95 miles an hour. I mean, he's 6'1", 180 pounds. They nicknamed him the Blade. He was a 31st round draft pick, and that was by the San Francisco Giants. Well, the Orioles, after being with the Giants for 4 or 5 years in the minor leagues, picked him up on waivers. And then a year later, the Blue Jays picked him up on waivers, and then the Pirates last year signed him as a minor league free agent. So guys like that are going to bounce around until somebody believes in them and says, you know what, despite not having great stuff, we think this guy can pitch in the big leagues. But it's up to him to go out and determine that. He pitched a real good game his last time out. Burris did. That was against the Atlanta Braves. He pitched 6 innings of 1-run baseball, and the Pirates beat them 3-1. That was a series in which the Pirates took 2 out of 3 from the Atlanta Braves and ended up getting blown out in the 3rd game, but right on the cusp of having a sweep.
Brandon Phillips, the 2-out batter. Burris has fielded both ground balls to begin this inning to record the putouts of both Chris Heisey and Johnny Cueto. Brandon Phillips, a strikeout victim. First to 3 credited to Brian Burris. Misses inside.
Yeah, he misses inside on the 0-1 pitch, but what you have to do, especially when you're a guy with less than great stuff, is get ahead of the hitters, and he's doing that. 8 of 10 batters he has faced have first pitch strikes.
Sam Barlow High School in Gresham, Oregon. Competed at Mount Hood Community College. Brian Burris, who's had a start and a relief appearance this year against the Reds. Started and allowed 5 runs in 3 2/3 innings and lost a 7-5 decision to the Reds on May the 24th. Opposed by Aaron Harang. And again working inside on Phillips. The Reds have been pretty good most of the year trying to make some things happen with 2 outs, and that's what Phillips is trying to do right here. 3-2 pitch from Burris. And he's going to tie that major league record, making all the putouts in a scoreless game.
Give me a list of who does on that.
by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers, where you can register to win the Tundra at Great American Ballpark. By JTM Food Family Fun. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by GMC, we are professional grade. No score, Reds and Pirates, as we slide along to the top of the fourth inning here at a beautiful day at Great American Ballpark. Nice day to sit in the stands. We think that most of that high heat and oppressive humidity that was around most of the summer has probably left us. So you sit right out in the sun, and they were talking about low 80s being the high today. A good day to sit out there in the sun and chew on popcorn and drink soda pops and eat cotton candy and watch the Reds and the Pirates. And a chance to do more of that this week with the Reds still at home and the Arizona Diamondbacks coming in. Alex Presley to lead off the fourth. Bounced out to Brandon Phillips in his first at bat. Presley, a guy that began the year at the Double-A level for Pittsburgh, and is elevated all the way up to the majors. Cueto will field that bouncer. And Presley is gone for the first out. Time now for today's AT&T trivia question. And let's see what it be today. The franchise record for most home wins in a season for the Reds.
So that's the number we're looking for now, is the number of wins the Reds have had in any one season at home. Play 81 games at home in a regular season, so kind of go from there. They're having a good year this year.
Yes, they are. Dale Walker with an infield single extended his ongoing hit streak to 18 games in a row. Speaking of trivia, that is the longest hit streak for a Pirates rookie since
Roberto Clemente.
That's a very good guess, but an incorrect one. Same time frame. A guy that was known on some of those Pittsburgh teams as, he mostly early in his career played mostly infield, went to the outfield a little later. Kind of a guy that they could play all over the place. RS were his initials.
Rennie Stennett.
There you go.
Guy hit his first. I gave up my first home run to Rennie Stennett.
Is that so?
Yeah. You would have to bring him up.
Well, if I'd known that, I wouldn't have brought it up. Trust me, I would not have done that to you. That's who got your first ball that, as Joe Nuxall used to say, he pitched him out of the park.
Yeah, pitched him right out of the park, all right.
Rennie Stennett.
Of course, by then he was wearing a Giants uniform. But guy could hit a little bit.
He could hit a lot. He kind of ended up taking over at second base in some of those 70s Pirates teams when Dave Cash had moved around to Philadelphia and Montreal. Rennie ended up playing some outfield. There's a walk issued to Neil Walker.
That first one of the day for Johnny, and I'll tell you what, one thing the Reds have done in this series, especially the starters, they have not walked hardly a batter. I think Homer Bailey didn't walk a batter in his game on Friday, and Edinson Volquez, without looking it up, I think only walked one, if I'm not mistaken, and here's Johnny Cueto's first one. So they have been really stingy with the free passes.
Pedro Alvarez, who lined out to Brandon Phillips to end the first inning, will climb into the box. Now, is it probably the case that most pitchers remember who got them for the first home run like you did with Rennie Stennett?
You better believe it.
Or like you guys were getting on the Cowboy a few weeks ago about the one he gave up in the playoffs to the Dodgers, to Karros.
You remember that one, too.
I know you remembered it because you guys showed it on the monitor. You probably don't remember who you gave your last one up to, do you?
That I don't.
Okay.
I mean, after you give up so many of them, they seem to blend all together.
No. Even if it's true, that wasn't the point I was trying to make. Alvarez, 1-1 count. Of course, you got even with them all. You got Don Carmen, future Hall of Famer Don Carmen. It took him deep. Cueto paying a little attention to Neil Walker over there, who's stolen 3 bases but has been thrown out 4 times.
You can see Cueto when he gets to the stretch position. He's not a guy that's real deliberate to home. He's very quick. And you know, whether you time him with a stopwatch from first base or whether you just look at the scouting report, you realize that Cueto has always been good about holding runners, trying to shut down the running game.
One and 2. Alvarez waiting.
That should be.
Phillips, Cabrera. Bono scoops, but not in enough time.
Well, the ball hit not quite as hard as maybe I thought it was coming off the bat, but still 4-6-3 double play should have been right there. Looked like DP lane all the way. It's just that the throw by Cabrera, because Neil Walker came into second base very hard, and you see how far Cabrera comes into right field to make that throw. Walker, you know, could have been called for being out of the baseline right there, because you have to be within reach of the base as you slide. And he went right after the red shortstop and certainly disrupted the double play, and Alvarez will reach first on a fielder's choice.
John Bowker standing in, and it sure looked like on that replay that Walker would not have been able to reach the bag.
All right, you determine whether the base runner now can reach second base. If he stretches his arm out, is it there? Probably close enough, and that's why he didn't get the call of interference, but still disrupted the play enough for Cabrera not to be able to complete the double play.
Bowker now in an 0-2 hole after that foul ball.
You know, we did a couple of tech talks with Paul Janisch early in spring training with Brandon Phillips, Chris Spire, all about how to turn the double play at second coming across the bag right there. And very interesting that there are 2 or 3 different ways to do that. One is to slide across the bag towards right field the way that Orlando Cabrera did. The other is just use the second base bag as protection, take 1 step back and throw it that way. And the other is kind of cutting into the inner part of the infield right towards the pitcher's mound. Good breaking ball there. Good night.
Bowker gone. Game still scoreless. Your school spirit with the Cincinnati Reds. For the remainder of the 2010 regular season, students can purchase half-price tickets for select seating sections at Reds home games. Purchase student tickets at the ballpark ticket windows or by logging on to Reds.com/students. Reds and the Pirates scoreless as we move to the bottom of the 4th inning here at Great American Ballpark. Orlando Orlando Cabrera to lead it off against Brian Burris. As everybody's aware of, the honoring of Pete Rose last night for the anniversary of breaking Ty Cobb's hit record. And Pete in the stands as a spectator today. He's been shown an in-between innings. They had a very nice video message on the scoreboard as Cabrera swings and misses. A taped congratulations and nice words from Joe Morgan directed at Pete Rose. And then a nice gesture by Pete to follow it up. Held up a little cardboard sign, said the Reds fans are the greatest. Cabrera smokes this ball to left field, and it's going to bounce off the wall. Two-bagger for the Red shortstop, Orlando Cabrera.
Now, we've noticed all year long what a good high ball hitter Orlando Cabrera is. He's down to the count, no balls and 2 strikes right here, and Burris tries to throw a breaking ball. He wants it down here, but the ball ends up being up high, and he's able to hammer that ball. That's not where you want to throw your breaking ball, not to a high ball hitter, and he nearly launches it right out of here.
So Joey Votto, his second at bat of the day, struck out there in the first inning. The Reds with a scoring threat going against Brian Burris and the Pirates here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Nobody was covering the bag for the Pirates.
Yeah, he was picked off last night. Cabrera was, and off of first base. Don't want to see him get too far off here today.
Started to go, but he holds up, and it costs Joey Votto. Showed you some of those Triple Crown statistical categories earlier today. Votto 3rd in batting average at the start of the day, 3rd in home runs, 2nd in RBIs in the National League. So while the Reds and the Cardinals will finish out the season from this point on not playing one another, what will be interesting now will be the National League East, with the Phillies and the Braves basically in a 19-game season tied with one another. And they'll have 2 series with one another before the year's over. Votto pushes that into right center field, and it will get by the right fielder Presley. Cabrera being waved to come home. 1-0 Reds. Joey Votto, RBI 102.
Now, just like Orlando Cabrera, Joey Votto got down on the count, no balls and 2 strikes, and a mistake pitch by the pitcher Brian Burris. He tries to throw a slider down and away, gets it up. That ball should have been caught by Alex Presley. He's got plenty of speed right there. Looks like he just didn't get the glove on it, but we'll take it. The Reds first baseman gets a double, drives in the first run of this ball game, and the Reds are up by 1.
A chance for Johnny Gomes to try and drive in another.
You know, check out Orlando Cabrera on this. He goes back to the bag. He's going to hold up just in case it gets caught, and he's going to run around, coming around third base. And then he kind of pulls up right here. And you wonder if maybe he injured himself one way or another. You know, he missed a lot of time with a side injury, like a pulled oblique, and now they're taking a look at him in the Reds dugout. Now the good news is they're not looking at his side. They're looking at down somewhere around his lower leg, his left leg, maybe his ankle, his foot.
So it's not a re-aggravation. It would have been a problem.
Actually feeling the bottom of his heel right there.
0-2 pitch.
That's the same area that they, of course, have been talking about, and we've talked about a lot with Arthur Rose having plantar fasciitis. He's talking about, you see, he's got a wrap around the toe area of his foot, the ball of his foot, and they're exercising that ankle and heel. Giannis standing around the dugout getting loose, but no indication that he's going to go into the ball game.
Well, this is the time of year where, as you said, Chris, everybody that's playing has got some sort of ache and pain or ailment.
Well, you know, you're always so much more susceptible to being injured. Pulled muscles, strains, little sprains. When you've played a lot and you're tired because your muscles aren't as tight, and you know, you put more pressure on the parts of your body.
Gomes pushes this one into center field, where McCutchen has it. Votto tags, coming to third. Close play. Gone. Nice throw from McCutchen.
Well, I like that play anyway. I mean, that's a great play by Andrew McCutchen. He's probably the best player on this Pirate team, but you've got to make him make the play right here. And if the throw is not right on the money and he sets himself up right, he's got a good arm, it's right on track, and Joey Votto says, hey, I'm going to give it a shot. If you can get me, fine. If that throw is off the money at all, Votto is safe. I'll take that play by Votto anytime, and you tip your hat to McCutchen.
It was an outstanding throw, right on one bounce. Got it to where Alvarez can get the tag down. Ramon Hernandez to be the 2-out batter. He received a walk in the second inning. The Reds scratch across a run, an RBI double by Joey Votto, scoring Orlando Cabrera to take a 1-0 lead. Looks okay there now, doesn't he? Cabrera knows what it's like to be in the postseason. He was part of the Minnesota club that was in the postseason last year after being traded to the Twins from Oakland.
And that's the one reason why the Reds went out to get him. I mean, they want to fill the positions they needed to fill. They needed a shortstop. They needed a third baseman. But you want to fill those positions with winners, because you want your young players to be around guys to know what it's like to be in the postseason, to prepare to win. Orlando Cabrera wrote on a big whiteboard that's down in the Reds clubhouse the other day, win games when you can, not when you have to. And he signed an OC at the bottom. And he's always coming up with little sayings and little pepperings that are trying to get his teammates involved and ready to play.
Hernandez involved with a base hit to left. Village initially misplayed it, but Ramon Hernandez at first.
But those type of guys like Orlando Cabrera in the clubhouse, they're so valuable because when a team has lost a few games in a row, he doesn't get down about it. He's been around long enough to know that you're not going to lose every game from now to the end of the year. Come on, let's forget about it. Let's get fired up. Let's show up early tomorrow and do something different to shake it. And he's the guy that all year long really pepped up this ball club.
You know, on those lines, Chris, you think about it. Here's Miguel Cairo at the plate. He was with Philadelphia last year.
Yep.
Now, was not part of their postseason active roster, but played with the Phillies. Plays where he smacks this ball into the outfield. McCutchen has it, but the Reds end up getting a run to take a 1-0 lead. That's our Coors Cold Hard Blast. Joey Votto's game-ending home run. And Chris, I would imagine the second most excited person after Joey Votto was sitting right here next to you last night, George Green.
Well, you're right about that. It was great to have George back in the booth and to see Joey Votto hit his first walk-off home run in his career was especially exciting. And that's the way you do it. If you've got to go to extra innings, might as well win it in style. And Joey Votto took him right there. They spared him the shaving cream pie in the face last night, you know, as they do often the guy that wins the ball game. But Johnny Gomes snuck up behind him and dumped the whole barrel of Gatorade on him, or ice water on him, and Jim Day didn't give it away a lick, and Joey Votto kind of got the good day. Said, hey, I'm not picking up your laundry anymore.
Was that Johnny Gomes who got him with the bucket of water?
Yeah, the bucket of ice water.
I'll tell you what, you notice now, and even as you saw that glimpse of that celebration after the unfortunate injury to Kendry Morales, the situation with the Florida Marlins with Coughlin, you notice there's some concern now with those game-ending celebrations.
Chris Welsh, I was so locked in on Joey Votto's answer. Being the professional reporter that I am, I was locked in on the answer and not the surroundings.
Well, you know, Jim Day, you didn't even look up, did you? That is a...
Was mesmerized by his words.
As they say in the game Battleship, that was a direct hit. Johnny Gomes, the perpetrator. Ryan Doman down on strikes. As Cueto racks up another.
Well, the same way that Johnny Cueto handled him the first time up, that back in the second inning, you get him looking for fastball, then you feed him off speed pitches. Ryan Doman loves the fastball, and he swings right over that slider. Well, he will so much want to break that bat over his knee.
He does, doesn't he?
5 of them now for Johnny.
Lastings Millage will be the next batter. That Bo Jackson was the famous video clip of breaking a bat over his knee after a strikeout when he was playing baseball in Kansas City. Of course,
I've seen that happen quite a few times. I've also seen guys attempt it, and all they do is end up with a bruised knee, and the bat stays intact. That's embarrassing.
Yeah. Millage to center. Stubbs got it. 2 gone. Around here, what people might remember is in that 1990 season when the Reds went wire to wire. When Glenn Braggs was acquired from Milwaukee, there was a couple of instances, one of which was either in the playoffs or the World Series. Glenn Braggs, big and strong as he was, he would swing the bat so hard. A couple of times when he missed, the bat would break coming around on his back.
That's an amazing follow-through right there. Yeah, we had him tell that story a few times this winter on the Caravan. He was on the leg of the Caravan along with Marty Brenneman and myself and Brandon Phillips, and it was really neat for those people that remember that, for him to retell those stories. I mean, he's still as big and strong as can be. It looks like Glenn Braggs could take the field tomorrow.
That was the rock star leg of the Caravan, wasn't it? The rock star.
Well, they came through Columbus to see you.
Well, not to see me. Cairo, and a nice play by Votto to grab it off the line. Pirates retired. Reds with a 1-0 lead. And now it's time for the Fifth Third Bank hardest workers in the game.
Outside of team practice.
Joey Votto's epic at-bat in Los Angeles with a Cuban Missile landing in Cincinnati. So that will be right here after the game. Time now to answer our AT&T trivia question. What's the Reds franchise record for most home wins in a season? We're looking for a number there. Got any guess you want to float out for? There it is, 64.
Pick a number.
Pick a number.
How about when we were 64?
Back in the magical 1975 season at Riverfront Stadium. 64 wins, which led the Reds into the playoffs. A 5-game National League Championship Series victory over Pittsburgh and a 7-game series win over the Boston Red Sox in the Fall Classic. The Reds will have Drew Stubbs starting it off. Speaking of that kind of history, the most wins in the history for the Reds at the Great American Ballpark, 43 wins in 2008. That's notable because the 2010 Reds today a 43-27 record at home going into this game. So Dusty Baker's team has a chance to set a club record for best winning season in the brief history of Great American Ballpark. Drew Stubbs bounced into a fielder's choice to end the second inning. It was 1975. If you think back to that season, the Reds were 2 years removed from having been in the playoffs, having won the National League West in '73 and then beaten by the New York Mets in the playoffs. 74 lost the West to the Dodgers and came back in '75, and just all the right pieces seemed to fit at all the right times. Burst to Drew Stubbs. Alvarez on a hop. Showing off that arm again.
Yeah, showing off the arm, but short hopping the first baseman. Nice pickup by Bowker down there. Still very raw, Pedro Alvarez is. The first round pick of the Pirates just a couple of years ago, and he gets this ball on one hop, smothers it, makes sure he has it, and then he's got to throw it across the infield. But better to throw it down there than over the head of the first baseman. You know, that's the one thing that, as we've been doing tech talks all year long, that I learned from Scott Rowland, who's one of the best out there as far as accuracy with his throws. That the worst thing he wants to do is throw the ball high. He'd rather throw it low, throw it into dirt, bounce it 2 times if you have to. At least you give the first baseman a chance to block it or pick it. But if you're throwing it into the 6th row of the stands, there's no way the first baseman can flag it down at all.
Chris Heisey bounced out to the pitcher in his first at bat. It was back during that time of '75, talking about that season where Dave Concepcion really mastered bouncing that ball on a throw on the AstroTurf over the first.
He kind of pioneered that, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Get that ball in all kind of crazy contorted positions. He just let it fly and bounce it over to Tony Perez or whoever was over there, mostly Tony Perez over there first. Reds with a 1-0 lead thanks to an RBI double from Joey Votto in the 4th inning. Drove in Orlando Cabrera. Heisey hitting in the A spot. Johnny Cueto on deck. After this series, the Reds will be at home with the Arizona Diamondbacks here at Great American Ballpark. Another chance for Alvarez. 2 gone. And that'll bring Cueto up. Tomorrow night, Bronson Arroyo against Barry Enright in the opener of the series with the Diamondbacks. Tuesday night, Travis Wood, Daniel Hudson. Wednesday, Homer Bailey and Joe Saunders. And Thursday afternoon, Edinson Volquez and Rodrigo Lopez. Hudson was a kid that pitched in the opener of that series down in Phoenix and looked pretty good for the Diamondbacks for a while. Struck out, I want to say, 10 or 11 batters.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's going to be around a while. That's a good-looking young pitcher. Hudson is. One of the prize prospects the White Sox had before they sent him down in that trade that
Is that the Edwin Jackson trade?
Yeah, they got Edwin Jackson, yeah.
Edwin Jackson pitches a no-hitter and he gets traded.
Well, I mean, a lot of times nowadays you're trading contracts, but you're also trading, if you're in the pennant run, for a guy that can help you towards the end of the year. As it turned out, the White Sox never really have turned it on. They're 6 games back of the Minnesota Twins in that Central Division. And 8.5 back in the wild card.
Johnny Cueto looks at a strike. Side retired. It is still 1-0 Reds over the Pirates.
Milestones that may not be caught. Today, we're concentrating on what single season record will last the longest. Barry Bonds' single season home run record of 73, 191 RBIs by Hack Wilson, 60 wins by good old Hoss Radbourn. Or the hit streak, of course, one of the most famous baseball records, Joe DiMaggio. That's 1, 2, 3, or 4 to 37664. Standard text message rates apply. As we send it back, Paul Keels, you are an encyclopedia of baseball.
Oh, no.
You got old Hoss Radbourn in there somewhere?
No. I was not aware of any of that stuff before our emperor, Christian Roberts, enlightened us before the game about old Hoss.
Only Hoss I had heard is the show Bonanza.
Dan Blocker from the Ponderosa.
You know, not only do they have great nicknames back then, but even the teams had great nicknames. How about the Boston Bean Eaters? I'll let you fill in the blank for that one.
We'll leave it blank. Brian Burris, the pitcher, to lead it off for the Pirates. 60 wins for a pitcher in a season. I mean, that's just that's silly.
Like to be his agent at the arbitration table.
Not the truth. Well before free agency, so it wouldn't have done him any good there. Burris struck out in his first at bat. Reds with a lead, 1-0. Top of the 6th. See you later, Brian Burris. Johnny Cueto continues to deal out on the mound. You know, DiMaggio's hit streak, obviously Pete Rose gave that a run for a while back in the late 70s, so that great streak he had going. Back to the top of the order for the Pirates, and Andrew McCutchen, 0 for 2, strikeout and a fly ball. You know, the one that, and we may have talked about this before, Chris, the one thing I don't know that you're ever really going to see again as far as the season. will be a 30-game winner from a pitcher. And the last one we saw was Denny McClain. Just don't know that you'll see, in 5-man rotations, pitchers get that many opportunities. Strike to McCutchen. Burris began the inning with a strikeout. McCutchen began the game with a strikeout. And Brandon Phillips gets that on the short fly. 2 gone. Fielder Alex Presley. And the text poll, some of the early results from people who are participating. Old Hoss. His mark will be safe, according to those watching the game today. With the scrutiny now in baseball, the 73 home runs. And I think everybody knows what we're talking about. With the scrutiny that's now in place, it'd be interesting to see if somebody could get to 73 long runs in a season again. But the overwhelming choice, Old Hoss Radburn. Cueto working away 1-2 against Alex Presley. Joey Votto, the RBI that has accounted for the only run of the game, drove in Orlando Cabrera for the Reds. Ended it with a home run last night. Has delivered a base hit that's brought the only run of the game in today. Cardinals and the Braves play tonight, for those wondering about that. Becoming more effective as the game goes on, Johnny Cueto.
And he's got 1 strikeout in every inning, Cueto does. So, I mean, in exactly 1 strikeout every inning. We've seen some games earlier in the year where Johnny would only strike out 1 batter, maybe even no batters, a couple. Earlier in his career, it seemed like he had more strikeouts, but you don't measure the ultimate success of a ball game on the number of punch-outs you have. It's all about the scoreboard. Right now, he's got a very slim lead.
Came into the game with 119 strikeouts on the year, Johnny Cueto. And he loses Presley. Two-out walk puts the Pirate right fielder down at first base and continues the inning for Neil Walker. Extended his hitting streak to 18 games in a row with an infield base hit in the top of the first. 1 for 1 and a walk. Started the day with a .308 batting average. When you get a team that's having a lousy season like the Pirates are, and it's easy for players to make it all about the individual, Neil Walker is having individually a good second half of the year.
It's kind of different when you're playing on a team that is so far out of it like the Pirates are. I mean, they're looking at 100 losses this year, and you find yourself playing for individual goals. Not always the most fun way to end the season.
The inning ends with that fly ball to Stubbs. 1-0 Reds. John Bowker, nice grab in foul territory for the Pirates. It's our Coors Light Freeze Cam, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Not bad for a guy that doesn't play a lot and splits his time between first and the outfield. 1-0 Reds. Pretty good day for Johnny Cueto, sailing along right out on the mound.
Well, it's a good thing that he's having a pretty good day, because the Reds bats, like the last couple nights, are real silent against pitchers that you think they'd match up pretty well against. I mean, everybody's capable of going out there as a major leaguer and spinning a pretty good ball game. But on Friday night, they faced Paul Maholm. Maholm has pitched some pretty good games against the Reds in the past, but came into this series with an earned run average of over 5. Last night, they faced Charlie Morton, 1-11 with an earned run average closer to 10 than to 9. And he ends up pitching really one of the best games of the year against him. And here we got Brian Burris, again, earned run average closer to 6 than 5. And he's shutting out the Reds on 3 hits, or not shutting them out, but he's shutting them down on 1 run and 3 hits through 5 innings.
That's all the late inning drama the last 2 minutes. Brandon Phillips 0 for 2, strike out and bounce back to the box. Burris working him inside. One and 2 pitch. Still 1-2.
Hey, Reds fans, if you're looking for food service solutions that deliver better results, think JTM Food Group.
Brandon Phillips and Joey Votto started the day still tied in the run scored category at 95, but they're down to the number 5 spot in the National League. He continues chopping away at Brian Burris. On deck, Orlando Cabrera and Joey Votto to follow for Dusty Baker's Reds. I mentioned that St. Louis Atlanta game tonight. Kyle Loesch, Tim Hudson will be the starters in that one. 1-2, 2-2. Reds at home with Arizona after this series. The Pirates go to New York to face the Mets. This concludes all the business between the Reds and the Pirates in 2010. Called strike. See you later, Brandon Phillips.
Yeah, Brandon walks away from the plate. He knows it right there. Brian Burris feathering that fastball right on the inside corner right there, and he catches Brandon looking. 0 for 3 with a couple of punch outs.
And it's been a tough series for Brandon Phillips. Only 1 hit so far, and that came in the first inning on Friday night against Paul Maholm. A strike to Orlando Cabrera, who seems to be none the worse for wear after looking a little something or another when he came around and scored the run. Looked like he pulled up, was aching or hurting or something. It all appears to be good.
Well, I'm glad to see him back in the ball game, because I think what he feels like is that if he leaves the ball game today, his chances of playing tomorrow are very minimal, because Dusty Baker's a very cautious manager. Don't want to run a guy out there and have him get hurt. This is him at second base on Joey Votto's double. He tags up, the ball falls in, and he'll come around third base limping a little bit. Not sure when he hurt that foot. I think it was the right foot that he was looking at in the dugout.
I believe you're right. 1-2 to the Reds shortstop. He doubled the lead off the 4th to set the stage for the Reds to get the 1 run of the game so far today.
You know, we mentioned earlier, and I've said this a couple of times about Orlando, that he's a high ball hitter. And if you look at the way he sets up at the home plate and how flat he keeps his bat right at when he's ready to hit, that tells me as a pitcher scouting him that he likes the ball up, because his bat is already on the plane in which he can swing and hit that high ball. He'll hold that bat nice and flat right back behind him right here. And that tells me the guys that do that are high ball hitters.
Smokes that one to Alvarez. Got him. 2 gone.
18 of 20 for Brian Burris as far as first pitch strikes. He is not afraid at all of attacking the strike zone. For a guy that tops out in the high 80s with his fastball, hey, he's pitched himself a whale of a game here today.
He sure has. Trying to get the Pirates to end a losing streak here. Brian Burris. Joey Votto is his next challenge. It's the 16th appearance and the 9th start of the year for the 29-year-old left-hander Brian Burris. Lefty against lefty. He had a start against the Reds on May 24th here at Great American. Went only 3 2/3 of an inning. Gave up 5 hits, 5 runs. 4 of them were earned. Walked 4, struck out 4. That was a game that the Reds won 7-5. Looks like the Pirates have got some work going in their bullpen with Chan Ho Park. Back in May the 11th in Pittsburgh, Burris had 1 inning of scoreless relief against the Reds. Came in Friday night. He sure looked like he was still at pretty good form. One nothing Cincinnati, bottom of the 6th inning. Joey Votto at the plate. Should he reach, Johnny Gomes would hit next. To the count. Brian Burris to Joey Votto. Right at Walker. 1-0 Reds. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network, AT&T. Rethink possible. And by your Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit myCincinnatiHondaDealer.com for current offers. Nice day in the park, nice day out on the river, nice day everywhere as the Reds have a 1-0 lead over the Pittsburgh Pirates here at Great American Ballpark. Top of the 7th inning. Thanks for spending your Sunday afternoon here with us. Big swing and a miss by Pedro Alvarez, the leadoff batter for the Pirates against Johnny Cueto. big would it be for Dusty Baker and the Reds to get a long day from a starting pitcher?
Well, he's had a long day on Friday night and Saturday night. 7 innings delivered both by Homer Bailey and Edinson Volquez. And here Johnny Cueto's in the 7th inning. 100 pitches exactly right now for his right-hander today.
Misses on that pitch to Alvarez. Cueto gunning for win number 13 here in 2010. More often than not, he seems to have been able to avoid some of those explosive innings with a ton of pitches, all amassed in one frame. 1-2. And that one up the middle by Alvarez and a base hit. So the Pirates get their first runner in a little while here with Pedro Alvarez in the base hit. It'll bring John Bowker to the plate. Bowker 0 for 2. Johnny Cueto in his career 9-2 against the Pirates, an ERA of 2.8 and 2.88. 3-0 this year. That he's 3-0 against the Pirates. First month of the year, a game the Reds lost 5-4 in Pittsburgh was a game in which Cueto left and then a blown save took him out of the mix. Two 2-0 the count. Lone save game, 5 hits in 5 innings, gave up 3 runs, struck out 4 and walked 4. That was part of the series in which the Reds lost 3 in a row in Pittsburgh.
Well, you know, one of the things that happens when you run your pitch count up so much early in the ball game, and even if you lead with a lead, if you're out of there after 5 innings, you're leaving way too many innings to the bullpen. You got to go to middle relief, and your best bullpen help, of course, is at the end of the game. So if you want to win a lot of games, you have to do what a guy like Roy Halladay does, which is take your team either right on through to the end of the ball game or just dish it off right to the very last couple of guys in the bullpen.
Speaking of the bullpen, Smith and Bray working out there. Three and 1. Johnny Gomes in position. So Bowker's gone. Of course, we talked about it on Friday. That series where the Reds lost 3 straight in Pittsburgh was a series in which both Scott Rowland and Joey Votto were on the bench for most of it, if not for Rowland, I believe all of it. Both of them were having some back problems.
Well, here's a guy that can give Dusty Baker a headache if he gets into the ball right. He's got plenty of home run power, but he's had a couple of strikeouts. Cueto's handled him really with the off-speed stuff. Fast pitches, fastballs early in the count, and then off-speed pitches later.
Gets ahead of him with that first pitch right there, Ryan Dolan. Johnny Cueto was away from the ball club this time last weekend. Death in the family, so he's away from the club while they were in St. Louis.
Now that's the kind of pitch that if you're Ryan Doby, you're thinking, oh, great. I've gotten 2 fastballs in this at bat. I've missed one, fouled one back, and now Cueto's going to drop that changeup on me, that slider on me, or maybe he'll sneak a fastball by me. Probably pretty mixed up right now. There's a slider, and he just missed on the inside corner there. Our Cincinnati Children's Fox Tracks look.
Of course, that's a goal to keep them mixed up, keep them guessing up there, right?
Got to keep them off stride. Into the bat.
Stubbs takes care of Doman. Lastings Millage will be the next batter for the Pirates. His last start was on the 4th earlier in the week. And it appears Lastings Millage is the guy that's kind of lost in some of the playing time, with Jose Tabata getting a great deal of work in left field for the Pirates. A couple of fly ball outs for Millage, one of them to Joey Votto at first. 1-0 Reds with a lead as Joey Votto drove in Orlando Cabrera for the 1 run of the game. At first it looked like Miguel Cairo was going to come play in close at third, but he is now backed up. So we got a little stepping off, stepping in, stepping out with Cueto and Millage. Should Lastings Millage continue the inning, it would be Ronnie Cedeno to bat for Pittsburgh. Johnny Gomes will lead off the bottom of the 7th for the Reds once they get their turn. Lastings Millage was a guy that seemed to, when he was coming up to the New York system, you heard a lot about him with the Mets and didn't stick there, moved around a little bit in Pittsburgh, and now probably in a push for playing time as Cueto misses the target on that pitch. 2-1. Indication from the clubhouse earlier today, as you would imagine, both Nick Massett and Aroldis Chapman would not be called upon to pitch.
Look out. And that fan did the right thing. The guy just simply got up and got out of the way of his seat rather than try to catch that thing. Well, that is a long whirly bird with a very sharp point coming his way. The guy in the white shirt's the one who's in danger.
That ball bounces fair. Lastings Millage able to sneak that one into play.
Yeah, a little bit of a flare right there, man. He got it right out of the end of the bat. Either that or he was very late on the swing. Was able to keep it fair. Really important right there for Chris Heisey to make sure that ball didn't squirt by him down the right field line. I'm not even sure if it's fair or foul, where it is. He stands in the batter's box to try to pick it up. Millage does. But the ball lands fair by about 4 feet. And then Heisey's got to make sure as he goes against that wall down there that it doesn't squirt away from him. Because if it does, Pedro Alvarez would have been able to scamper around third and head on to home.
And with Millage speed, that might have allowed him to maybe end up at third, depending on how far it got by Heisey.
He should have been on second. If he'd been running out of the batter's box, he'd be standing on second right now.
Agreed. Now the Pirates with their first real genuine threat of the day.
Maybe that's why we don't see him in the lineup more often.
Very good point. And he's probably being reminded of that down there by his first base coach, Carlos Garcia.
Well, you get reminded of that when you don't see your name in the lineup.
Silent reminders. Ronnie Cedeno.
First time the Pirates have had a runner at third.
Cedeno will attempt to bring him in from there. 0 for 2 today with a couple of ground outs.
Now, with a scoring threat, you see Johnny Cueto reaching back for a little bit more on his fastball. He was kind of cruising along right there, 92, 91, 93. That first one to Cedeno at 95, so he's got something in the tank here. Hard slider and had him way out in front. I'm wondering if Brian Price maybe went out there and said, listen, this is your last guy. They've got a left-handed pinch hitter, Brandon Moss, on deck. And if you lose Ronnie Cedeno, we're pulling you out of the ballgame. We really want you to finish this 7th inning. Two best fastballs of the day for Johnny.
You mentioned the first time the Pirates have had a runner at third. It's the first time they've had anybody pass first.
It's amazing what you can do when you get challenged and you have his kind of talent.
Getting a little moral support from the crowd, Johnny Cueto is. Two and two, 2 on, 2 out, and the Reds trying to protect a slim 1-run lead. Got him. Still 1-0 Cincinnati. And here at Great American Ballpark, Sunday afternoon, it's time for God Bless America with the Reds in the middle of the 7th, holding a 1-0 lead over the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Major League Baseball, the Pirates and the Reds salute the men and women of our armed forces. And at this time, please help us honor these brave men and women and all our veterans of service. And welcome Chris Cantu as he leads us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. Oh, God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Bottom of the seventh, the Reds a 1-0 lead over the Pirates. And it's Johnny Gomes to start the inning. He'll be followed by Hernandez and Cairo. Brian Burris trying to keep it for Pittsburgh right here at 1-0. Gomes and the Reds trying to improve upon that. Right at Alvarez, 1 down. Take the Reds with you on the road this season. Subscribe to MLB.tv today and see every Reds game live or on demand on your computer. Visit Reds.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Catcher Ramon Hernandez will hit next. A single in the fourth, a walk in the second. Waxing on about Johnny Cueto's day. Brian Burris is other than those couple of back-to-back base hits from Cabrera and Votto, he's held his own out there on the mound.
You're not kidding about that. That one knocked down will be a base hit, but boy, Pedro Alvarez saves an extra base hit with that knock him down. That breaks the string of 8 in a row retired by Brian Burris.
Right, that could have gone down the line, rattled in a corner, and been at least 2, if not more. And that kid looks like he's got a pretty good fundamental sense of getting in front of balls, playing the quick hit balls like that at third, Pedro Alvarez.
I think the consensus among the scouts that have seen him play is that they think that he's going to be a pretty good major league player. Not sure if third base will be his ultimate position. Big guy, big body guy. I mean, he's not going to get any smaller. He's got a nice arm and a nice bat speed.
Miguel Cairo 0 for 2 today. Trying to see what he can do about moving Hernandez around. Steve Baker has been able to call on Miguel Cairo all season to plug him in wherever he has needed for the most part. Opposite a strike. This is 36th start of the year. And it's 22nd at third base. Played 9 at first, 2 at second, 2 as a DH. And last night started in right field. Waves and misses.
That's that slow curveball that Burris has been kind of peppering into his repertoire all day long. Not overpowering, we made that mention, but he's got a slider and the slow curveball right there. Great arm action, and Miguel Cairo really didn't look like he sees it very well. He's not the only one.
Really?
Reds have only accumulated 3 hits on the day.
1-2 pitch.
And 2 of the 3 hits have come after Burris had an 0-2 count. Hung a breaking ball to Orlando Cabrera, rifled it down the line for a double. Got a fastball up to Joey Votto on an 0-2 count, and he got a double.
And that was a ball in the gap in right center that Presley appeared as though he maybe had somewhat of a decent chance of trying to get, but it got by. Cairo can't connect, and he's gone.
6 strikeouts for Brian Burris. And he gets this one on a night curveball, the same pitch that he threw Miguel Cairo the pitch before.
So it'll be Drew Stubbs to try and continue the inning.
Even if the Pirates leave here having been swept, I mean, from a team standpoint, that's no good. They're out of the race anyway. They've been eliminated. But they got to feel there's a little bit of promise that showed in this series. They had a nice outing from Paul Maholm. They had a very nice outing last night from Charlie Morton, a guy that has not had too many of those all year long. He pitched really well and showed himself a mid-90s fastball. And Brian Burris is throttling the Reds right now.
And they've shown a knack for some late inning base hits to be able to bring themselves from behind. John Russell's team looking for anything to grasp upon hope during the tail end of what has been another disappointing season in Pittsburgh. Drew Stubbs looking to try and extend a 5-game hitting streak here. Bowker, another try in foul territory, but can't get to that. So Stubbs is still alive. I mentioned Cairo starting in right field last night, but the other two spots, Gomes in left, Stubbs in center, they've been the Iron Men out there. Given the injuries to Nix, to Edmonds, and to Jay Bruce. One and two, Brian Burris to Drew Stubbs with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. He checks in enough time, Drew Stubbs. Scott Berry, the first base umpire, who you saw there. Tim Timmons is at second. Tim Cheetah at third, and Bob Davidson behind the plate. Burris readying himself for a 2-2 pitch to Drew Stubbs. Alvarez again on a hop. That'll take care of the runner at second. And after 7, 1-0 still, Redlegs.
This is almost an identical line that we have seen the last 2 nights from Red starters. Homer Bailey, Edinson Volquez, Johnny Cueto coming out here through the first 7 innings of the ball game, dominating the Pirates, getting a lot of strikeouts, very few walks, in position to win the ball game. Now, Homer, Bailey, and Volquez both ended up with no decisions because the bullpen couldn't hold it. Today, Johnny Cueto only gives them a 1-run lead, but two innings to hold. And we'll see if they're able to nail his 13th win of the year down.
And it'll be Logan Ondrusek trying to see if he can't come out and hold things right where they are.
It's amazing that Logan Ondrusek already has now 51 appearances. Got a 4-0 record, has pitched real well, loves to pound the bottom of the strike zone with that overhand fastball using a downward plane. I mean, after all, he is 6'8". Little splitter to go along with that.
Delwyn Young will be the leadoff batter, pinch hitting for Burris to start the 8th for the Pirates. Young has appeared as a pinch hitter previously in this series. Grounded out last night as a pinch hitter. So Brian Burris is done. Gives up 4 hits and allows the Reds 1 run, does Brian Burris. It's a 2-0 the count. Logan Ondrusek to Delwyn Young. Another strike. Chandler Park had been working earlier in the Pirates bullpen. 2-1. You see the result there. 2-2. Cairo fighting the sun at first. Blown out. Back to the top of the order, and McCutchen, who's 0 for 3. 26,617 the attendance for this afternoon's game. The only run of the game so far, an RBI double from Joey Votto to score Orlando Cabrera for the Reds. That occurred in the 4th inning. Was able to get out of a jam back in the 7th. The Pirates left a runner stuck at third base. Grusik was on the mound Friday night as he gets a strike here. Worked an inning of successful baseball in the Reds' 12-inning victory. Stubbs chasing that one back, and he's got it at the track. Well, McCutchen gets solid contact there. 2 gone for Alex Presley. Earlier this season, Ondrusek back in June, scoreless streaks of 20 games and 22 innings pitched, the second longest by a Reds pitcher this year. Jordan Smith had their scoreless streaks going at the same time.
It's really nice to watch those 2 young pitchers just mature, get more confidence, feel better about themselves, and believe that they can be major leaguers. I mean, the steps that they have made this year, phenomenal. And here's Ondrusek, rookie pitching in a 1-0 ball game, while you're in a pennant race in the 8th inning. You don't see that happen very often.
One bouncer by Phillips. So Presley on with a single.
That ball hit sharply. It looked like it hit the infield here. Of course, it's dried out, and ball just really took off after it hit. We may be looking at the only green grass in the Cincinnati area here at Great American Ballpark. I mean, Doug Gallant's got this baby looking good, even though everybody else's lawn around the area is singed brown.
It sure does look good, and Dusty Baker's going to walk on some of it to get onto the mound, and he's going to make a call to the bullpen. So Logan Ondrusek will leave after surrendering that base hit. Skyline call to the bullpen. Reds with a 1-0 lead.
One of the ways, there are several. You take the games remaining, there are 20. You take the St. Louis losses and you subtract the Cincinnati losses, and the difference there is -6. The Reds are up by 6 in the loss column. You add to that the number 1, and you come up to the magic number, also known as the elimination number, the tragic number, if you happen to be on the low side of that. And there's another way to figure it out. This is the way you take the total number of games in the season. You take the Reds wins, which is right now 81 wins. You take the Cardinal losses, and you subtract those two. You add 1, and you get to the same magic number. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be performing or teaching math on TV. But those are the 2 ways that I know of how to figure out the magic number. The other way is to just read the paper every day. It'll be in there. I like to read the paper after this guy pitches because it usually means that he's been a ball game in which the Reds win. Overall, he is 4-3. 64 games for Arthur Rhodes with that ailing left foot. He'll come in here to face the switch hitter Neil Walker. He'll turn him around to the right side.
Walker's already extended his hit streak to 18 straight games. That thanks to an infield single in the first inning.
So what do you like, the tragic number or magic number?
Well, or
elimination number?
Well, I think we're all used to the magic number. I honestly not heard the tragic number reference. Guess you don't want to be in the position where you're looking at it that way.
Learned that over the last decade here.
So you probably were surprised you wouldn't be teaching math on TV. I'm sure there's some teachers at St. X probably thinking that too.
You're right about that. Just goes to show you how far you can go in life with an incomplete on your grade.
And there's some teachers at Moeller saying, thank goodness Chris Welsh talked about it. Leave the other guy not to speak on it. Well, there's Arthur Rhodes. And as you mentioned, he's really been gutting it out down the stretch here.
Oh, you can see the pain he has. I mean, he doesn't even really want to put a whole lot of weight on his left foot, but that's his push-off foot. That's a very important part of the pitcher's delivery there. Pushing off that rubber.
It's Walker to pop one back in the stands behind home plate here. First you say look at the paper for the magic number. Probably what everybody does out of habit is look at the standings just to see the game's back column, which right now at the start of the day, Cardinals 7 back of the Reds. St. Louis playing tonight at Atlanta. 2-1 the count. Arthur Rhodes against Neil Walker. It certainly will be interesting to watch. You mentioned the National League East race with the Braves and Phillies tied for first. The West, the Padres a game ahead of the Giants. Braves and Phillies tied for the wild card, 2 ahead of the Giants, 3.5 ahead of the Rockies. Walker will go on down to first base the second time today. He's been walked. Pedro Alvarez, when last at the plate, singled in the 7th. And it looks like it's going to be Arthur Rhodes for a while here. Nobody stirring in the bullpen.
The bullpen phone might be ringing. Looks like Porky Lopez is heading over there to pick up the phone. Maybe not, but right now the left-hander in the on-deck circle, along with John Bowker, and then Alvarez at the plate. It looks like it'll be all Arthur here until either we get the final out or the Pirates do a little more noise.
We discussed Logan Ondrusek and his scoreless streak as Brian Price, the pitching coach, kind of presides over everything. Arthur Rhodes, a 33 appearance scoreless streak earlier this year. 33 appearances and 30 innings, which pretty much vaulted him into the All-Star game in Anaheim. Gets the strike. And Jordan Smith is going to start working again in the bullpen for the Reds.
Looks like it's nighttime out there.
Does, doesn't it?
Back-to-back sliders. One for a called strike, and then this last slider that looked like a fastball at first, and Alvarez just could not hold back. Veteran versus rookie here.
1-2. Couple out, couple on. Alvarez today bounced into a fielder's choice, a line drive right at Brandon Phillips, and an aforementioned single in the 7th. You get a glimpse of the runners, Presley and Walker. 2-2. Cairo almost mishandled it. Nice scoop by Joey Votto.
What a save by Votto. Man, does he come up big.
1-0 Reds.
Votto, boy, has he gotten good at that. They even count a statistic nowadays called scoops, and Votto is right there among the leaders in that category. He makes a nice play. The Reds get out of the inning as the Pirates try to threaten, and a slim 1-0 ball game heads to the bottom of the 8th.
Pittsburgh is called on Chan-Ho Park to come out of the bullpen to pick up where Brian Burris left off. Johnny Cueto in repose. He's feeling very confident about where the Reds are sitting right now, leading 1-0 apparently.
You know, it's amazing how many, the inside scoop is it's amazing how many pitchers go out and get manicures because their fingernails are very important to them. Some guys want to have it the exact length. And Johnny, maybe his normal girl is closed on Sunday and do it himself. Pick a color.
The things you learn around a baseball park. Heisey to center field. McCutchen 1 out. Are we speaking from somebody's past playing experience?
Well, yeah, I mean, teammates that, of course, did that.
Okay.
Clear is the preferable color, the usual color of choice. Unless you fall asleep in the chair and you wake up and you've got hot pink on you.
Juan Francisco moving right along will be pinch hitting for the Reds. Let's see. How good does the camera work? Can't tell any color there, can we? On those nails. Now, when you say exact length, you mean just...
Well, you know, the exact length means you don't want it so long that it affects you and then you start getting blisters. You don't want it so short that you have some tender spots and, you know, you get blisters.
Gotcha. Juan Francisco to pinch hit.
You'd think this would be a pretty good matchup for the Reds out here because Francisco's a good fastball hitter. And Chan-Ho Park's got a nice fastball, although he doesn't rely on it nearly as much as he used to. Still can get it up there around 93, 94 when he has to.
It's the third stint that Francisco has had with the Reds. He was on the opening day roster and then a couple of trips back and forth between Cincinnati and Louisville. Chan-Ho Park was out on the mound Friday night for the Pirates.
A couple of scoreless innings.
Deals the strike to Juan Francisco.
A well-located heater right there.
Veteran of many employers, Chan-Ho Park, in his major league career. Francisco also appeared as a pinch hitter on Friday, grounded out to first base.
Setting up the changeup with that pitch. Fastball away, fastball in. Now watch him throw a little something off speed here to try to get the youngster way out in front.
2-2 pitch. Runs it full. 375 career pinch hitting batting average for Juan Francisco. 9 hits in 24 at bats. 7 driven in. He has hit a pinch hit home run during the season. That occurred on the 30th of August. Occurred against Milwaukee right here at Great American. Walk on down to first base. 25 years ago, Charlie Hustle singled his way past Ty Cobb and became the all-time hit king. Right after today's game, stay tuned to Reds Classic Rewind. You can celebrate Pete Rose's 41-92nd hit and relive baseball history on Fox Sports Soul. So 1-out walk. We move back to the top of the order. And Brandon Phillips with the Reds leading 1-0. Brandon Phillips looking for his first base hit of the day. Swung at what probably would have been ball one. And still never really know for sure, not that you'd hear Brandon or anybody else talk about it, but if that hand is bothering him.
Yeah, that might be part of it. I think the other part is that he's playing every day, and the grind of it is beginning to wear on you. And, you know, Dusty Baker wants to give him some time off, but, you know, when your magic number is 15, I mean, you can't start strutting around like you've already owned the division. You just never know what's going to happen. You still have to play hard every day and run your horses out there, and one of them is Brandon.
And he's a guy in his career that's shown that he can get on one of those incredibly notable hot streaks.
No doubt about it.
And he did injure that hand after that series in San Francisco. Dusty Baker was able to get some good play out of Miguel Cairo at second base, Chris Valleca. But Brandon Phillips is a good part of the reason why the Reds are sitting where they're at. Alvarez has had a busy day at third, and they're going to call the out and then the drop of the attempt to throw on to first.
Not so sure it would have been a double play ball anyway. Not hit all that sharply. Has to go all the way around the horn. And Neil Walker and trying to get out of the way of the sliding Juan Francisco, and that's a good idea. Drops the ball in the transition.
So Francisco erased. Phillips at first. With 2 outs, it's Orlando Cabrera. His double in the fourth was followed by an RBI double by Joey Votto to account for the only run of the game so far. Chan Ho Park in relief of starter Brian Burris. Throws a strike to Cabrera. That base hit was the 7th for Orlando Cabrera since he came off the disabled list. Fortunately, when it appeared that maybe he had pulled or injured something when coming around to score, Orlando is okay. Still out there. On deck, Joey Votto. Chan Ho Park paying some attention to Brandon Phillips at first. And a pop fly by Cabrera that Pedro Alvarez calls for. And the Reds go down. Still with a 1-0 lead, though. Interviews with the players and Dusty Baker before anyone else. That's Reds Live, brought to you by Kings Honda in the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. And also a reminder to represent the C by watching the Bearcats battle Indiana State on Cincinnati Bearcats replay tonight at 11:30 on Fox Sports Ohio. The Bearcats on Fox Sports Ohio are presented by your Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. And some changes out there on the field for the Reds. Paul Yanish will take over at shortstop, and Francisco Cordero on the mound.
Well, Francisco Cordero, 67 ball games now. Those 35 saves put him 3rd in the league. He trails Brian Wilson of the Giants, who has 42, and Heath Bell of the Padres, who has 40. Picked up a win last night. Did Cordero with 1 inning of perfect work, and hopes to nail down save number 36 here.
And Cordero will start the top of the 9th against Pirate first baseman John Bowker, and he starts with a strike.
Down towards the bottom of the order for the Pirates, but still a couple of guys, Bowker and Domet, back to back, that can go deep on you if you make a bad pitch.
Bowker today 0 for 3, a strikeout and a couple of fly ball outs. Certainly this Reds bullpen could use a shot in the arm. There have been some drama with the bullpen the last couple of nights. Cordero involved in it on Friday.
Little hesitation right there by Bob Davidson, home plate umpire. Cordero thought it was a strike. Overall had a pretty good game today behind the plate.
Count now full on the Pirate first baseman. They're staying alive by slapping the foul into the stands. Three and two. Francisco Cordero against John Bowker. Loses him to ball 4. When Francisco's had trouble, it's been because of that.
Well, it has. On Friday night when he had problems, it wasn't the base on balls. It was the fact that the Pirates got a couple of hits off of him. In a very rare chain of events, Dusty Baker went out and got Francisco Cordero out of the middle of the inning. I can't remember when that happened last. Brought in Arthur Rhodes to quell the rally, and the Reds ended up winning it in 12.
Ryan Domet squaring in that ninth on Friday. Single by McCutchen, single by Tabata, and then a single by Alvarez. And when it looked like the Reds were pretty much ready to close the barn door Friday night, they had to go 12. So after talking briefly with Tony Beasley, third base coach Ryan Domet will get back in the box. It's 1-0. Lastings Millage, the on deck batter. John Bowker at first.
Well, you see what Francisco Cordero is trying to do, and we've mentioned it before because it's the same thing that a lot of closers like to do. When you spot up your fastball, you want to keep it away from a power hitter, because if you make a mistake, you miss off the plate. If you miss inside on a guy and come over the plate, he's going to hit a home run off of you. But he's 2-0 and needs a strike here.
And that ball bashed into shallow center. It's a 2-on for the Pirates on Domet's base hit following the walk to Bowker.
Well, Domet looking fastball, gets a fastball, didn't hit it all that hard, but picks up his first knock of the day with a little clean single up the middle.
So now 5 base hits for the Pirates. Domet will leave for a pinch runner. Siriaco is the pinch runner. Lastings Millage, the next batter. 1 for 3 today for the Pirate left fielder. Millage gets it down. Cordero looks to third. Got it.
Not a good bunt, but a very good defensive play by Francisco Cordero. He's got to break over to the third baseline. You want to be able to get that lead runner on the force. And Bowker not able to get there in time. This bunt nearly goes right back to the pitcher. Just a horrible bunt by Lastings Millage, and the Reds get a very key out on the lead runner.
Garrett Jones will now pinch hit for Ronnie Cedeno. So the Pirates still with a couple on. And a couple working in the bullpen for the Reds. Bray and Smith. There's a look at Garrett Jones working 2010. That was a big out. Cordero needs 2 more. Garrett leads the team with 77 RBIs and 20 home runs. Garrett Jones. Approval from the crowd on the strike from Cordero.
Same people that were booing a couple of pitches ago.
You know what they say, one day you're drinking the wine, the next day you're stomping the grapes. 1-1.
Well, you reach back for a little extra right there. 97.
Into shallow center. Stubbs comes up firing. Siriaco will be held at third.
Oh, I am stunned that they did not take a chance to score him right there. You know what looked like Siriaco did on that is that that ball was hit. He looked behind him to see where the outfielder was playing. That's something that you should do before when you're leading off second base, to know exactly where the ball is. He waits up. He should have known that that ball coming off the bat was going to be a base hit. He didn't, and that's why they had to hold him at third base. Tony Beasley didn't want to take a chance right there. And the Pirates are going to need something else to get that tying run in.
And they're hoping that something else right now will come from Tabaton.
You know, we talk about the little things, and that is one of the most, I guess, the smallest things there is as a base runner, to constantly, every pitch, check where the outfield is. Because if Siriaco knows where that outfielder is, he knows that ball is a base hit, and he can bust it around third base and probably score. So the Reds catch a break right here, and they can still get out of this inning and win the ball game 1-0.
Jose Tabata, who has been in left field but comes up as a pinch hitter here, has driven in a run in 4 of his last 5 games. Good looking young player for the Pirates. He flails and misses at that, but Hernandez gets to the ball quickly enough to keep Siriaco at third. To the runners.
Again, you know, if he's anticipating a ball getting by the catcher, he's got a shot right there.
Yep. And clearly
he might be fast, but he doesn't have a whole lot of base running sense.
Ooh. Dangerous foul into the camera well. One and two, advantage Cordero.
That would look like it got Ricky Stowe down there.
Oh, did it?
Probably woke him up.
1 and 2. Votto comes home. They got him. Second out.
Well, not guaranteed it's going to be a double play. So Joey Votto, who's playing deep, he's about 3 steps back from the infield grass. So he comes home with that ball to make sure that you get the lead out. That 3-6-3 double play is not an easy one to turn.
And a nice solid throw from Joey Votto. Top of the order, Andrew McCutchen. Strike one. Think Cordero's feeling the love right now?
You're feeling more if he can nail this out down.
Strike two. One and two to Andrew McCutchen. High ball game with run on in. The Pirates have a 1-run lead, and Pittsburgh with a 2-run lead. Big base hit by Andrew McCutchen.
Well, Dusty Baker has seen his bullpen melt down in each of the 3 games of this Pirates series. And he just hangs a breaking ball right there. Cordero does. He wanted it down in a way that splits the center of the plate. And Andrew McCutchen comes through as a hero for the Pirates. Dusty Baker can't believe it. Neither can half the people in the stands right here that were on their feet cheering for Cordero to slam the door. Not to be done today. And the Pirates have come up with 3 big ones late in the game to take a 3-1 lead. How about that?
Incredible.
Man.
And it continues. The inning does for Alex Presley. Just when it looked like Cordero had McCutchen right where he wanted him. Lines that one down to left. And cleans him off the base paths. Presley today, a base hit, a walk. And 3 official at-bats. So once again, the Reds are going to be put into a mode they have to come from behind. The inning started with a walk to Bowker, a single to Doman. And then after Cordero was able to get it out on a bunt at third base, Garrett Jones a single. Big base hit by McCutchen. 2-1 to Alex Presley. And Dusty Baker has seen this all weekend. Prior to all of this, the Pirates had left 7 runners stranded. Presley taking an awful lot of time. No luck on the appeal play down at third from Tim Sheeta. So the count now full on the Pirate right fielder. Neil Walker on deck should the inning continue. Bottom of the ninth for Cincinnati. It's Joey Votto, Johnny Gomes, and Ramon Hernandez due to hit. Has fallen over Great American Ballpark here. The Pirates have put 3 up in the top of the ninth. And this will be the 30th pitch of the inning. Johnny Gomes will come in for that fly ball. He's got it for the Pirates. Post 3 to take a 3-1 lead. You face every customer, every vehicle, every day. by the Basement Guys. Enter to win the free basement giveaway from the Basement Guys. Go to enterthebasementguys.com. And by Cincinnati Children's in the top 10 for all selected pediatric specialties in U.S. News and World Report's 2010 Best Children's Hospitals. Well, Brandon Phillips trying to lend some support to Francisco Cordero, who gives up 3 to the Pirates in the top of the 9th. That's kind of how it's been.
Brandon Phillips realizes that you need Francisco Cordero to strap it up, to pitch well, right down to the very last game of the regular season and then beyond if the Reds are going to get there. You can't have your closer melting down regularly in the month of September because you're not sure who to go to. You're going to start going to somebody late in the year in the playoffs that has never really closed much before. The Reds don't have a whole lot of options down there. That's why it's important for Cordero to get his act together.
Joel Hanrahan on the mound for the Pirates to start the bottom of the 9th with Joey Votto. Pittsburgh with some other changes. Chris Snyder is now behind the plate catching, and Jose Tabata is in left field. Votto, an RBI double in the 4th that accounted for the run for Cincinnati. Argenis Diaz is at shortstop now for Pittsburgh. So John Russell has dipped deep into his bench. A double in the 4th for Votto, his only base hit of the day. A strikeout of the 1st, a line drive to the second baseman in the 6th. Suffered a blown save last night, giving up a run in the 9th. That was his 4th blown save of the year. 2-2 to Joey Votto. Now the count runs full. Votto to be followed by Johnny Gomes and Ramon Hernandez. Let's find himself in a familiar position, trying to come from behind. They have been very successful, posting 41 come-from-behind victories here in 2010. Nice snag at first. Bowker to Hanrahan, 1 gone.
Boy, nice play by Bowker right there. Has to dive to knock that ball down. Joey hit it hard, trying to find a hole on the right side, but Bowker was there with a diving stop.
Johnny Gomes looking for his first base hit of this Sunday afternoon. Three in the top of the 9th for the Pirates. Have them with a lead. Strike 1 to Gomes.
Now John Russell sees his team climb back for the 3rd consecutive night. They've been unable to hold that lead. Dusty Baker seen his bullpen melt down, and Johnny Cueto has seen his chance to be a winner blown for the 6th time this year. That is 6 blown saves for Johnny Cueto, second most in all of the major leagues, only behind Josh Johnson of the Florida Marlins.
One and 2, the count now to Johnny Gomes. Pirates a 3-game losing streak that they're looking to snap here this afternoon. If they can turn the trick. And they're not away from doing it.
Well, Joe Hanrahan has such a good fastball that when he does pull the string on you, your first indication is to just let it rip. And Johnny Gomes lets it rip way out ahead, and he gets a strikeout victim, does Hanrahan.
Ramon Hernandez, 2 for 2 with a walk today. Pair of singles for the Reds catcher. Strike one. Well, Hanrahan is somebody John Russell's been able to turn to. He's pitched in 4 of their last 5 games. He's been scored upon only twice in his last 13 appearances. And he hits Hernandez.
Well, that's what you need. When you're down by 2, you have to have a base runner. If you think you're going to get back in this ball game with one swing of the bat, you've got to get a guy on base. I'm still unclear whether that ball actually hit him or not. If it did, it got his shirt and doesn't make any difference. Cairo comes in as a tying run.
Ramon gave a reaction right away. That was just to try and sell it or what, but he was immediately reacting to that. Cairo today 0 for 3. Pittsburgh with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 9th inning. And you see in the bottom of that graphic, Cairo looking for his first base hit of the series, and he's got it. And he almost took Hanrahan's head into center field with a base hit.
Right back through the box. Miguel Cairo has a real good swing right there. He did not look very good at all against the left-hander, but he keeps the inning alive. And Dusty Baker's going to make a couple of moves. Looks like he's going to put Chris Valleca in to run for Ramon Hernandez at second base. So get a little speed out there as the lead man. Of course, Valleca's run doesn't mean much. The Reds are down by 2. He would make it 3-2 if he could score. The guy at first base is Cairo. But the most important man right now, the man at the plate. And after a quick visit to the mound by John Russell, the Pirates manager, it'll all rest on the shoulders of Drew Stubbs,
who today has hit 3 ground balls to third baseman Pedro Alvarez. John Russell's had his say-so with Joel Hanrahan. 2 on, 2 out. Strike one. Drew Stubbs, 1 career walk-off home run. We talked about that beginning of the day. Came against San Francisco, following a night with a walk-off home run by Joey Votto. 1-1. Valleca at second. Cairo at first. Stubbs at the plate. Two and 1. Izzy on deck. Should it continue? Not uncommon for the Reds to make some 2-out magic in this 2010 season. Stubbs wanted to go, but he holds.
Well, Stubbs has got plenty of power, and he may get a nice pitch to hit right here on a 3-1 count. Certainly don't want to walk the winning run in the bottom of the 9th inning. 16 home runs for Stubb. Only 2 off the pace, other than for the 33 hit by Votto. How about that?
You called for it. So the stage set now for Chris Izzy.
Well, Izzy makes it happen. I mean, he did it last night with a ball that was hit right down the third baseline that ended up tying the ball game. The Reds ended up winning that ball game, but Joey Votto would never have been the hero had Izzy not been a hero before him. Didn't start last night, was bruised up.
Strike one. Izzy looking for what would be a big first hit of the day.
Nobody holding Cairo close at all. He can get a huge lead at second base. Oh my.
Hannigan is in the on-deck circle, if it were to come to that. But right now, 0-2.
Pirate outfield playing very deep. They don't want anything behind them. They want to make sure the Stubbs doesn't come around to score.
Valeka, Cairo, and Stubbs the runners. 1-2, Chris Heisey against Joel Hanrahan. The Pirates leading 3-1. Still alive on the foul. They've got a healthy piece of Chris Snyder, it looked like. There's Chris Heisey's day in series. Well, for a team that's had some magic moments in a season, they're in need of one right here. Dusty Baker leaning right now on a guy who began the year at AAA. Bases loaded, 2 out, 1-2 the count. Heisey against Hanrahan. What patience. Good job keeping alive with foul balls, almost like some of those Joey Votto at bats. Another 2-2 pitch coming. And another one still to come. Valeka, pinch runner. Cairo, second base. Stubbs at first.
Heisey's had a couple of pretty good swings back to back, and I think that's why Chris Snyder's gone out there to talk to Joel Hanrahan and say, all right, he's hung on the fastball and found a straight back. He's hung on your breaking ball and found a straight back. What do you want to do here? This is the go-to pitch on a 2-2 count. You certainly don't want to go 3-2 because with Drew Stubbs' speed at first base, even a single, not right at an outfielder, might score him from first base if you give him a running start.
Strike 3. And the Pirates, with 3 in the top of the 9th, snap their losing streak and end the series with a victory. 3-1 Pittsburgh. The bullpen problems continue for the Reds.
Well, not only the bullpen problems, I think the offensive problems continue for the Reds. They face a starting staff here in Pittsburgh that is statistically the worst in National League. And they didn't do much at all against them. They mustered only 1 run today on 5 hits. A pretty nice job by Brian Burris, the left-hander that came in here with a 3-3 record. He pitched really well for his second game in a row. And the Reds, quite frankly, fortunate to have won 2 out of 3 against this Pirate team because they didn't show a whole lot on this weekend. But the magic number at 15, they're still in control of the division. And we'll have to tow it back up tomorrow.
That's right. 3-1 the final. Pirates with a win. On the field for a preview. Reds Live with Jim Pecora.
Well, thank you very much, Paul. Boy, in this series, the Reds squandered some great starting pitching. Into 3 games, each of their starting pitchers went 7 innings. Homer Bailey on Friday night gave up 5 hits. Edinson Volquez, a 1-hitter through 7 innings last night. And, of course, tonight, 7 hits for Johnny Cueto and just 3 hits, 1 earned run and 9 hits in 21 innings by the starting pitchers. And yet the Reds have to go to extra innings twice to win and lose today by giving up 3 in the 9th inning. Can't blame it on the starting pitching, Jim, that's for sure. For a look at what's coming up on Reds Live, here's Jim Day.
Thank you, Pick. Picks off to the clubhouse. We'll hear from the manager before anyone else. And coming up on Reds Live, we're going to talk about the Reds losing these leads late this weekend. It's kind of a role reversal, even though the Reds won 2 out of 3 against the Pirates, as Chris Wells said, didn't play their best baseball this weekend. weekend. But you can't blame the starting pitching. As Pick said, the masters of the mound will look back at the starting pitching, including Johnny Cueto's outstanding outing today. And magic is still in the air. Magic number at 15. It could go down, though. St. Louis plays Atlanta tonight. Set you up for that and more. Stay with us. Reds Live, presented by King's Honda's right around the corner. Reds fail in their bid for a sweep, but they do take another series. We're back after this.